Welcome back to another episode of The Gentleman's Journey. I'm Jack Bell. I'm joined here today with Jaxon Leverty and Ryan Easter. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourselves and talk about where you're from and stuff.
Yeah, my name is Jaxon Leverty. Alpha Nu, class of 23. I was born and raised about a half hour outside of Minneapolis, Stillwater, Minnesota. Yeah.
Ryan Easter, new 23. Jackson and I both pledged in the fall of 19. I grew up about a half hour south of Philadelphia, and I graduated biomedical engineering.
Very cool. To get some context, I always like to ask this question early on to figure out how people came to Chi Psi. Can you walk us through your first experience with Chi Psi, how you think your undergrad years and everything else has led you to where you are today?
Yeah, for me, when I came into the University of Minnesota, I did not know anything about fraternities other than I didn't want to be involved in one. And the only reason I even thought about it is because someone from a different fraternity actually contacted me over the summer and planned meetings. And some of my friends from high school, who ended up being both of our pledge brothers, they kind of convinced me to go out to some formal rush events, and I said I'll do it as long as we go to this one other fraternity. And the second to last stop was Chi Psi. The last stop was the one I wanted to go to, and we never made it to the one I wanted to go to. And I knew I had the decision of either I'm going to join Chi Psi or I'm not going to join a fraternity, and thankfully I made the right decision, and
For sure.
It's led me to be a recruitment chair, philanthropy chair, new member educator, number 5, and now work on the central office as an extension specialist. So
Very cool.
it's been a great Chi Psi career.
Yeah, it sure has.
Yeah, as for me, wow.
We apologize for the lightning. It's middle of the storm.
It was kind of similar. I grew up hearing all the typical stuff about fraternities. Never wanted to be in one. Was sort of afraid of them. And it wasn't until I was on campus, moving in my freshman year, that my mom, who was in a sorority, had convinced me to go through Rush. She said, "Oh, you're gonna miss out if you don't do this. At least try it." And I very begrudgingly did try it. Went to a few of the Rush events. The Chi Psi recruitment chair reached out to me. I did some of the house tours. I went through formal Rush, and none of them really struck me as my kind of place. And when I went to Chi Psi, it felt very, very different. It felt like everyone was very close, no matter the year, no matter the background. And that's sort of just what I knew. And accepted my bid on the spot, and it's led me here. I was the number 2. I was the lodge manager. Was that anything else?
You're on my recruitment committee.
I was on his recruitment committee. I feel like there's something else there, but I just cannot remember it. But yeah, now on staff as an extension specialist. Was at Florida State, and I will soon be going to Texas Tech as well.
Very cool. As you just mentioned, you're working on starting a new alpha at Florida State as an extension specialist. Can you tell me a little bit about what your role requires and what it's like starting a new alpha at a new college?
Yeah, it's a hard question.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it.
I'm sure.
We first got down over the summer. We did a lot of research on Florida State. The campus, the Greek culture. Surprisingly, it's a very different culture and campus than the University of Minnesota down in the south. It's a little different down there. But we kind of started out with attending formal rush and going through every event we possibly could, sponsored by the university, and did not go well for us at first, but through informal recruitment, we just found the right guys that we needed, and we were very lucky to get our first couple members were very involved on campus and had a lot of friends very early, and they helped us recruit throughout the year. And then we kind of went through as many different avenues to reach out to as many people as we could, and found different people throughout the year. And once we kind of felt like we had a good base, then we started teaching them about different positions that you can hold and what the executive board does, and started handing out those positions. And then throughout kind of the spring semester, we slowly put our foot off the gas and put theirs on it, and just tried to step back as much as we could, let them make the decisions, and then we would tell them if we thought the decisions were right or wrong.
Yeah.
But by the time like spring break rolled around, we were pretty much just advisors. We weren't really
Okay.
doing the actual outreach anymore. That was the recruitment chair, or we weren't planning events. That was the social chair, and it was just a really amazing experience to go from we were the only members at Florida State
Yeah.
to they don't need us anymore.
Very cool.
And it was just really cool to see that over time. It's kind of a very broad overview of what we did throughout the year, I think.
Yeah, lucky for us, they came in and they just really, really wanted it. They were very excited. They were super passionate. So as soon as they learned how to do things, yeah, we could really just sort of take a step back.
Very cool. It sounds like you had a lot of success in that part of starting a new alpha. What is the next step for those of you who don't know how chartering works and all that?
Yeah, well, so at this convention in a couple days, so over the summer we've been writing a petition to gain a charter and become an alpha, and that'll be distributed to convention attendees, and during convention there will be a formal vote to decide if they become an alpha or not. As of now, they're a candidate alpha, which is approved by the executive council, and if the vote goes the way that we hope it does, they'll be an alpha by the end of the weekend. If not, they're gonna fight even harder and try again next year.
Very cool.
Yeah, you definitely know a little bit more about the petition writing since you did a huge chunk of it. So
Yeah, I did as much as I could without doing it all, and tried to delegate it as much as possible. And the convention attendees did a lot of the brunt work on it. I just kind of advised the project, but so it's a long petition. It's like 90 pages.
That's what I hear. I just got done talking with Frankie, who helped found Epsilon Tall, and he talked about that a little as well.
It's a long process.
Glad it's in the past, but well worth it. What have been some of the biggest challenges that you guys have faced in starting a new alpha?
I think one of the hardest parts that comes to me like right off the bat, since it was just me and Jaxon there, and we're meeting all the guys, recruiting them, to sort of like win them over a little bit for Chi Psi, we became their friends first, and I feel like at a certain point it could be hard to separate how we were their friends, but we were also the extension specialists, we were on staff, we were their advisors, so sometimes that could be a little bit tough, like switching like the serious phase versus like just hanging out with them and being on their side for everything.
And it was hard to, sometimes you had to be serious with the people that have accepted bids and be a little more fun and happy with the guys that haven't accepted bids yet and you're trying to get to accept bids, so that was a balance. I think another challenge was just the culture shift between Minnesota and Florida. They're very different places.
I'm sure.
I did not have a mullet when I left for Florida, and now that I'm back, I do.
Changed
one of many changes. That was tough at the beginning, but I think we figured it out and adapted as well as we could.
Very cool. It sounds like things have gone well, so that's good to hear. Now transitioning to some more personal stuff. There's many undergraduates who finishing up their final year and probably moving off to places they've never been before. What is some advice you could give undergraduates moving to a new city that they've never been before as you guys move to Tallahassee, and a place that obviously, like you said, is far from Minneapolis?
I'd say I've done it a few times now. As I mentioned earlier, I'm from the Philadelphia area. So coming to the University of Minnesota, I didn't know a soul. So, granted, being in the dorms did help, but the thing is that you sort of just have to, it's way easier to say, but sort of just, there's no reason to really care about what anyone thinks of you. Just if you see something interesting, you see someone interesting, if you want to maybe just go talk to somebody, you go do it. Odds you see them again or they care, very, very low. Moving to Minnesota, luckily I was able to meet some great people like Jaxon here. And in Tallahassee, just in a whole new school, the best you can do is you can just go out and be yourself, have fun, If you meet people, you meet people. If you don't, you don't. But either way, that place is now your home, and you just gotta do with it what you can.
That's good advice.
Yeah, I would say get out of the house. Something that he was a lot better at than me is go to the gym. That's a good way. Just get out of the house, try new things. I did a lot of Florida things when you moved to Florida, like going to the swamps and I don't know. I think just embracing yourself in the culture of the new place, as opposed to focusing on what you miss about your last home. I think that helped me a lot with the transition.
Mm-hmm.
That's good advice. I remember I moved my freshman year to Nashville and completely different. I was trying to bring things from home and couldn't stay there, so I think that's good advice. Finally, we've been wrapping up with this question since it's a harder one, but a fun one to think back on. What has been your favorite Chi Psi memory thus far, if you could narrow it down to one?
That's a big ask. This isn't something specific, but I would say it's making the best of a tough situation. So we were in our sophomore year during like the height of the COVID pandemic, and we both lived in the lodge. And at the Alpha Nu Lodge on the 4th floor, there is the study carrels. Every live-in has a desk there. So with all online classes, we're all up there taking classes all day.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to you get so much closer with everybody because you're all in the same area every day, you all live together. And yeah, the classes weren't great or very easy to pay attention to. But it's just the little things. Like, I can't really name a specific instance, but it was always fun to go up there. I mean, even you took a semester off and you were still up there all the time with us.
Yep. Yes, I was.
It's just fun to be around everybody.
That's what makes it special.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the small things make the biggest difference or have the most impact on me, but I think the most proud I ever felt about Chi Psi was our philanthropy event at Florida State this year. Brand new, not even an alpha yet. I think we had 21 members at the time, and they had an amazing philanthropy event, and we honestly had very little to do with it. I think our philanthropy chair put a lot of work in along with his committee and our executive board, and they really took an idea and ran with it, and we raised almost $4,800 in a single event as a candidate alpha, and that's more than Alpha Nu has ever raised in a single event while I was in school. So and that was like kind of the last big event we held. It was right at the end of the year, and I think that was kind of the moment where I realized these guys are absolutely going to be fine once we're out of Tallahassee.
That's good.
And that was a really good day for me. I really enjoyed that.
I'm sure. Well, I appreciate both of y'all coming on here, taking up your time and spending some time. And we'll catch you next time.